Hi YouTube land, back again. What I've decided is to document kind of how my journey is going. And I'm going to do a few different things. I have a lot of opinions on vast range of subjects, but especially politics, kind of society in general, ways we can improve things, kind of looking at big picture thinking rather than just, oh, if we solve this little problem over here, that's going to be fine. Or this has got to crisis point, let's fix it. Well, I'm kind of more like, let's fix it before it gets to crisis point. So I kind of got one of my goals out the way last year by doing a few YouTube videos. They're not great, and this one's still not great, but I'm going to get there and I'll get better. And hopefully, if any of you listen to me and continue watching what I'm doing, I'll maybe get better equipment and start doing a few more things. Anyway, in my previous videos, I've sat relaxed on the bed, I've had makeup done, I've tried to do something with my hair. So today I decided not to do any of that. So makeup free, no contact lenses. As you can see, my skin is not great. I've got issues. Hair is, well, it might have been slightly abused over the last few years, so it's not feeling so great. And my body's been quite badly looked after. Eating the wrong stuff or eating too much stuff, being far too sedentary. I've used all the excuses. So what I plan to do over the next little while is document how my journey is progressing. Definitely need to get healthy. That's got to be my number one goal. I've got a lot of people in my family that have issues, health issues, and my family also has quite a long lifespan. My parents are both still with us. I'm lucky enough to be able to say that, but they're both in the 80s, but not in the best of health. And I look at them and I think, gosh, there's things that you did that have contributed towards your ill health. So it's now my turn. If I want to live to that age, I want to be healthy and happy and still quite active. Mentally, yes, I am in a good place, but I'm not at the end of that journey. I still have days that are really difficult. I still have a lot of health problems that I need to get on top of as well. So, gonna look at what has brought me to the point I am now. Going to look at where I'm going forward. But I'm also going to do more commentary on things that are in the news, politics that are going on, because I'm sick fed up of getting so frustrated and shouting at the TV and saying, oh, this, if we started looking at this or if we did this. So why don't I kind of put what I think people should be doing, what I think politicians should be doing, society in general should be doing, local authorities should be doing, and maybe someone will pick up on some of those suggestions and go, do you know what? That's not a bad idea. Maybe we could kind of implement that. So that's what I'm going to be doing going forward. So today's video, I am going to talk about where I really am. So, I do quite a lot, try and do this as best I can, and then try and check the lighting, because I don't know if you can see YouTube, but there's a lot of grey in there. There's a lot of grey there. I've also, over the last year, there's been quite a number of big changes in my life. There's things that have been resolved, which has, had a big impact on me and has really weighed me down, and they've kind of come to some kind of conclusion, so that has definitely helped. Big stepping stone is, don't tell anyone, it's a secret, but I actually have an adult son. But obviously I was like so young when I had him, or maybe not, but my son's left home, he's gone to university, so that's a big change. And suddenly I don't have that responsibility, which has been quite weird and difficult to get used to. Um, Work, I'm really lucky I have a job. I have a fairly stable job, a fairly reliable employer. I'm not loving the job I do. There's a lot of reasons behind that, but this is my next thing, is I need to start looking for something much more positive. Now, some of the things that I've started doing is I had the talk therapy, and she went back to stuff in my childhood that I knew was causing me problems, but I didn't know how to deal with it, and I didn't know really how to offload on someone in a productive way, if that makes sense. Um, and ways of coping with that, and other things that were going on that involved my family. It's really quite stressful. Um, so that, I mean, that helped enormously. It's the first time that someone's actually listened to me, and I said, look, I know my problems stem from back here, and yes, we're at crisis point, and that's great, you want to fix point X, but we really need to go back to point A, because until that is fixed, until mentally I can deal with that, there's always going to be a point X. So that was a huge thing. Something else that it was actually my partner's mum put me onto it, was something she'd seen on YouTube, which was something called Lugal's Iodine. Now, I suffer from a number of things. So there's the great mental health. There's so depression, anxiety, and stress. Really bad for me. Also have fibromyalgia. I have a B12 deficiency, and I'm deficient in vitamin D and iron. So I have to take iron supplements, I have to take vitamin D supplements, and I get a B12 injection every 3 months. Now, I always get the name of this wrong. It's, I want to say precocious anemia, and it's not. And I say that every time, and I should have looked it up beforehand. In fact, beforehand I could say it, and now I can't remember what it is. But if anyone else out there has it, they'll know exactly what I mean. But that's the B12 deficiency. So these things aren't great because they make you tired. All of these combined give you problems with mental clarity, fatigue, and just a general not wanting to get on with things. So I've recently gone back to work after having almost, I think that was 5 months off I had off. I was ill. I did not expect to be going back to work. I was crying, I was emotional, I was all over the place. I'd be, and then I'd have a good day and I'd think, maybe not so bad. And then the next day the world would be ending. And, I'm not trying to belittle these thoughts. Anyone who's struggling with mental health has, but that is what it's like. I had some really, really bad thoughts of things that I wanted to do to myself, and really hated myself. So obviously not in the best place. And I was tired. I was sleeping, I'd sleep for 10 hours at night, and then I'd spend about 6 hours during the day sleeping. And it wasn't just I'm having a bit of a nap. It was I'm sleeping. I'm exhausted. Really deep sleep. So my partner's mum had seen videos on YouTube about Lugal's Iodine, and she suggested it to me, and I kind of hummed and hawed, because you get all these wonderful things that if you take this, that, and the next thing, it'll be amazing. And I was like, I don't really know. But by this point I was desperate. I was sleeping all the time. My partner and I's relationship was suffering because I was just tired. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to go out and walk the dogs. And he almost had to bully me to do it, but he needed to do it because I needed to get out of the house. I needed to get fresh air. I needed to get exercise. Anyway, I thought, right, nothing to lose. So I bought some of the Lugal's Iodine. It comes in a little bottle with a dropper. And I started taking it, and I was actually putting it on my wrist. Now, anyone that's had iodine knows that you get big stains on it. But obviously it was fine because I only started taking out, a couple of drops, rubbing it on my arms, and that was fine. Within days, and I mean literally days, the difference in me was phenomenal. the level of mental clarity, the energy that I suddenly had, it was absolutely phenomenal. So that is how I've got to the stage now that I can deal with it. Within 2 or 3 weeks of taking this, I was back at work, and I was like, don't know when I'm going to get back. I don't want to get back. I went back to work, and I think my partner was expecting kind of Armageddon when I got back the first day. How was I going to cope? Was I going to come back in tears, really miserable? And I came back, and it was almost like he was holding his breath, and I was like, no, it was fine. It was fine. And don't get me wrong, I've had shit days. I've had meetings with management that haven't gone well. I have had attitudes from some colleagues, that haven't been great. But at the end of the day, I'm now in a place where I can start dealing with me and what's wrong with me. So, over the next year, I'm going to do regular updates. My plan is do a weekly update of how my journey is progressing. What am I doing? I'll mention more about the Lugol's Iodine. There's loads of videos on YouTube if you want to look it up. I now do say to people, this is making a difference. One of the things that I know that the Lugol's Iodine can affect is your thyroid. So if you have a low thyroid function, it can increase it. It was a medicine originally back in the early 1800s. And then as modern medicine came up in the early 20th century, it kind of fell out of favour. So that's why it's not something you hear about. It just seems to be such a good cure-all. It's meant to be good for like antibiotic properties, things like that. I'm on a higher dose now. Obviously, when I started on it, just taking the few drops and then quite a lot. Just hence the reason I now take it in the morning and I don't put it on me because I would just probably be yellow from head to foot. But the difference has been absolutely phenomenal. Anyway, I'm going to be looking at everything. I'm going to be looking at my health, my career. What do I really want to do rather than what have I fallen into? How have I got to this place? Skin definitely needs to get looked at and improved. I will say that the last few weeks over the festive period have been a bit bad. Not really stuck to things. So, that's what my plan is for the next few weeks. See how it goes. And I'm hoping to do it over the year. And it will be warts and all. So, if I've had a week where things just haven't worked, where I'm struggling, I'll be completely brutally honest with you. And hopefully some of you might pick something up from that. Some of you might take some of the things I do and put them into your life. But the intention is for this to be as positive as it can be and show people who are suffering with any of the conditions that I've suffered from or anything that's just not working for them, that maybe they'll pick up something that will help them. So thank you very much, and we'll see you later. Bye.